Right, welcome to our Anything Dewey's preview for the Olympics. I'm very excited to be joined by Sandra Bezic, very well-known choreographer and producer, and are going to be a commentator for the Olympics this year for the CBC. Am I
For
have that right?
CBC?
For
Yes, for
CBC?
pairs.
Yep, for
Yes.
pairs. Great.
Yeah.
And a former pair skater yourself, and so I'm just thrilled that we get to preview the pairs event together. Sandra, I wanted to start off before we dive into sort of the what we think might happen here. What has stood out for you from the pairs discipline this year? Are there programs or performances that have been highlights for you?
Well, first of all, Anna, it's great to be here. It's great to see you and catch up with you. Pairs this season. Well, um, there have been some really beautiful short programs, I think, that have really stood out for me, many, and that's going to be exciting. I'm going to jump past the team event for a moment to the pair event, and I think there'll be many strong skates with the short program, and that people will be very closely placed.
Mm.
So I think that could be very exciting. I mean, I love, and what's also really terrific is how different they all are. Um, uh, Riku and Ryuichi's short program is just so dynamic and alive, and I fantastic. It's a great vehicle for them. Deanna and Max, I think, have the perfect short program vehicle for them too. I think it's a gorgeous piece with Carmina Burana, and it suits them and it suits her fire. And then, well, Hassa and Volodin love their tango. I love their precision, their expression. I love that it brings out her personality in that program. It's so elegant and fine, may not necessarily have the power of some of the other pairs, but it gets the job done and it's very fine. And I was talking to Mark Pile the other day, and he's hoping that, as the season goes, that they're able to really let loose emotionally
Mm.
with that program. Who else? Well, uh, I mean, the Canadians, Trent and Leah, I think that's a special program, maybe one of the most special in the short program. A piece of theater created by ice dancers. Um, and so if they're on, that could be in the mix as well. And they've had a great season. I mean, they've only had they had trouble at the beginning of the season with the
Mm-hmm.
short program and at nationals, but otherwise it's been really solid. And then of course, well, I mean, who do you want to talk about? I mean, Sui Han, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's talk a little bit about Sway and Han because they're
the,
the defending Olympic
yeah.
champions coming into
And
this.
for that reason, they're in the mix. You can't discount them. You can't, even though each performance has been challenging one way or another over the season, and that you can see the progression. And then, with the injuries that have clearly got in the way of their training, your heart goes out to them. Um, but the programs are there and the programs are solid, and they know how to compete. They know how to do this. They know where to go. So you can't rule them out either. And then the second Japanese team
Hmm.
are the disruptors. Uh, they have zero pressure, almost no experience except for this season. They've their trajectory is just going whammo, and they have a they have a swagger and a joyousness that is beyond their experience. So they could, Yunasumi, as the fans are
Yeah.
calling them, they could
I
disrupt.
love their lifts. They just fly across the ice. It looks
The,
so
yeah,
impressive.
and that to me, I really look for. I really look for the speed in the lifts, the control of rotation. They have it. Deanna and Max have it. Um, um, Certainly, Riku and Ryuichi have that, like, sense of flight in the lifts. Now with Yuna and Sumitara, they have elements that are not fully developed yet. They need more time. Their death spiral, is a little
Hmm.
challenging. But I mean, you can't learn death spirals overnight. Those take time. So all those elements will follow them. And so their technical weaknesses in those few little spots may show up more in the larger group, but
Hmm.
wow, they could disrupt. And then I haven't spoken about the Georgians yet.
Hmm.
They certainly have um, a power and a presence that really is reminiscent for me of sort of the old school Soviet, Russian nation, intimidation factor. When they step on the ice, you know, speed around and bam, bam, and then everybody kind of, backs up to the boards. I mean, I,
Hmm.
experienced that myself with a Rodnina, but he has unreliable footwork in his lifts. And that for me is a huge issue as a pair skater. And I worry for her. I worry for her safety. They still get the points and still get the marks on it, and it still might be fine, and they could still end up on the podium. I think they have fabulous potential. They're a young team. They have amazing throws, side by side jumps, and that power and symmetry in those that I admire. I'm uncomfortable with the lifts.
I agree. Their lifting his footwork makes me nervous, and once I've started noticing it, I have a hard time unnoticing it.
Yeah,
So then that's what I'm looking at rather than whatever beautiful position that she's in.
yeah.
But yeah, I
I
do love
strongly
that.
feel.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, go
yeah.
ahead. So
You go
you
ahead.
do love.
I was gonna say I was surprised at how much they've really improved in their second mark this year and their programs. Like I was like, oh, Bolero. They've kind of made it work. It brings out this side of her personality that I kind of enjoy, and I think she has so much fire. It's really fun to sort of see that part of their skating.
Yeah, she's spectacular. She's, that classic female pair skater, fearless, driven. She's announced her goals. She's going to win the Olympics, not necessarily this year, but one day. And, I kind of believe her. I think I love that about her. And I love the way she attacks the throws and just like, boom, nails it. Yeah, I just think they need more time to spend on the basics of pair lifting. And even their twist, I mean, again, it gets all the levels and everything, but it concerns me. There's a thing that's happening with the twists that unnerves me, and when the men jump, when they toss and
Mm,
leave the ice, uh, that to me is kind of unnecessary if the technique is there, and dangerous, because if they lose their footing, they're not there to catch their partner. And so that I'm really safety is paramount for me, and sound technique. And when our eye gets used to sort of these sort of little isms or wonky kind of
Mm-hmm.
things that happen, and then that gets passed down to junior teams, that really makes me nervous because it's not okay
Mm-hmm.
for the woman's safety. So,
I
um,
have not
yeah.
noticed that, but I will be look on the lookout for that in the twists. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of pairs are starting to do it now, and I've tried to figure out why. And one of my theories, well, first of all, sound technique, whatever it is, should be effortless, right? Like when we see the best of the best, it looks effortless. And with pair skating, if it looks like he's heaving her, if the man is
Mm-hmm.
heaving the woman, if it looks like he's lost control on the throw because he's heaved so far that,
Mm-hmm.
he's doing this, that to me isn't sound technique, because you can throw that far and that big if you're doing it properly
Mm-hmm.
without drawing attention to the man because of his unbalance. Meanwhile, the
Right.
woman is gorgeous and pure. So I look at a lot of pairs for that. I watch the man a lot. Um, and my theory is that because of the additional things that they're asked to do with the rules, like the step sequence before the twist, cuts down on the speed. You cannot go into the twist as fast as you could doing, you know, the footwork sequence ahead of it.
Mm-hmm.
So then it has to be muscled. And that's my theory right now.
Interesting.
Because um, the more that's asked of them, in fact, it can slow them down. So it's the pairs who keep that momentum and keep that flow and have their knee action and technique and working, then
Mm.
it's just a more pleasing experience to watch, and it's safer, and it's also more consistent. I think the inconsistency of this season from all the pairs is very telling, and I don't think it's the pairs' fault.
Interesting.
So
Yeah. I mean, that was
it's
one of the
it's
things that I've been thinking about is that I
yeah.
don't think we've seen a clean free skate from any of the top teams at like the level that they would hope to be
No,
yet.
no,
And
not the teams at the Olympics. And I mean, my Canadian team did a clean program, but
yep.
they, Luca and Kellyanne, and the
Mm-hmm.
reason for that is that they set their intention in June that they weren't going to put in their program anything they couldn't do every day.
Mm.
A clean program every day in practice can then be fine tuned. But if you go into your program not really knowing that you can do a clean performance in practice, how can you finesse? Then you're always just working on technique. And I think the rules, the requirements in pairs has pushed that, because you feel, oh gosh, well, if I don't do my triple toe, double axel, they're doing it and they're going to collect the points, but we're all going to mess up. But
Mm-hmm.
we got the points, at least we got something. And so that philosophy then kind of, I mean, for most of the pairs, they start out with a bit of a mess on the 3 series jump. And that's not their fault. Um,
It's one of the things I'm the most happy about in the rules changing is getting rid of the
yes,
three jumps in pairs. It's
yes,
been like it's been ugly and
yeah.
everyone felt forced to do it. So,
Well, exactly. And the concept of a 3 jump series for pairs is really, um, it works against, it certainly works against pairs who have a greater height difference, because their jumping arcs are different from each other to begin with. And so to keep that tracking going, um, they have to be really strong jumpers to have a matching tracking. And then once they've landed their triple toe, the woman's arc is just going to be smaller than the man's. So now in the double axels, where do they go? She's jumping into him, he's going around him, the tracking's gone. So that requirement sets most of them up for failure. And that's what I get frustrated with. So I digress.
I agree. And I think partly because I have a soft spot for several of the pair teams with inconsistent side by side jumps that it's the element that I'm always like, if you get a team that really lands them in perfect and can jump and gets that perfect synchronicity, like it does give you the impact of a pair element, but so much of the time it feels like this is the thing that disrupts the program. That is the moment everybody kind of stops and tries to go into their bubble and do their own jump, and it's not as pleasing. But that, I mean, I say that because I really love the Italian team, Rebecca and Filippo.
Oh, gosh, I haven't mentioned.
We haven't talked about the Italian. I was gonna come back to the Italian. Both to the Sarah and Nicolo are in in that space.
Absolutely.
But Rebecca and Filippo are a team that I have a lot of affection for. They have such great kind of character that they bring on the ice. I really like they have a Volare short program that I think is just so fun. Yeah, and so every time that they go into their jumps, I get so nervous for them, and then I'm so happy when they manage to like muscle out the double axels. But it's not pretty.
Right, and of course you do want your pairs to be strong jumpers. I mean, they're never going to be as strong, of course, as the single skaters, but it's working around the challenges. When looking at Deanna and Max, they did side-by-side triple toes at nationals in the short program that were just, boom, boom, like this. But you could see going into the free program, and I know, and we found out afterwards that she was sick, but going into the free program, you could see the wheels turning of, triple toe, double axel, and the brakes coming on even before the triple toe. And I think that's the effect it's really too bad that they didn't get rid of that before the Olympics. It disrupts, the programs. Sarah and Nicolo, I really like the free program. I really like their work, and what I mean, she's so passionate, and the Grand Prix final, they were fantastic, and what I really enjoy about them is the little requirements that have to happen before a lift or before the death spiral, something difficult before and after everything. Theirs are very creative to the music. I really like, they're little gems that I really enjoy because they're musical. They're not just, okay, I'm doing this because I have to, and then I'm going to go up. They're thought out musically and creatively. So I like that.
And I mean, I think that's partly their, the benefit of their choreography. And I think it's also partly that they, they're not a team that some of them were like acrobatic, like, you've got a huge height difference, you just throw the girl around, kind of like, that's not how they learn to be a pair together. And so it really, they have these long lines to work with and everything, and it gives them a different style than some of the teams where you think, it's really easy to do the around the shoulders and around the everything, and it's, they're just going to go in different directions.
Well, I think every pair has to find their identity, and you work with your body heights to make that identity, but that doesn't preclude line. I think that is the focus of the coaches and the choreographers to not force that, but to encourage that and to pay attention to that. It's not rewarded enough, which is sort of the complaint across the board, that the components don't necessarily have the power that they should have. And I feel that there's been a shift in what's important in pair skating. I mean, it's all important, of course. I still place a premium on unison and tracking and unison and spins and, you know, no accordioning, spacing between things. Like, you know, I'm really old school with that, with, you know, being drilled in by Ron Ludington and then watching Rodnina and then having, you know, working with Elena Tchaikovskaya, you know, back in the, you know, where this is just drilled into you as a pair. And then the body line and all of that. So that's why I really appreciate the pairs who pay attention to that and find their own identity. I mean, you can find that line with, you know, discrepancy in height as well. And you know, you have advantages and you take advantage of those. But there's no reason for that kind of, for not having that kind of form. So that's where I mean, I love all the dynamics of what as well, but we've been doing those. They're more complicated now with the entrances and exits. But I mean, if you go back in history, the throws have been spectacular for decades. So
Yeah, and it's something that I do wonder about some of those difficult entries. Like I enjoy an entry that has creativity and, you know, choreography to it, but sometimes, yeah,
it's
they're too
hard.
much.
They're too much. It's hard. And I'm, you know, maybe one lift, not all of them. It's the, you know, flipping over for the sake of flipping over when, you know, regardless of whether the music says to flip over. It's those kinds of things. But the pairs, in their defense, and the coaches, choreographers feel that, you know, they have no choice. And so they find their greatness in spite of the rules and work around the rules. And I feel that the rules and requirements should be supporting greatness. And looking at pair skating, pair skating is not ice dancing. It's not single skating. It's its own unique thing. Even the requirements in footwork don't make sense to me. A tall man and a small woman are just never going to look comfortable holding on doing footwork, you know, and they have longer blades than ice dancers. They can't, you know, it's just never going to be anything more than uncomfortable. So there's other ways of figuring it out that are more in line with the spirit of what pair skating and the expansiveness of what pair skating is, in my opinion.
Yeah. And not to go too into the weeds on that, but I think that it's one of those places where having a separate technical committee, I think, would probably help, because there's a lot of things that get applied sort of across singles and pairs as if they're the same, and
they
not.
aren't. And it feels like, as a choreographer this season, working with pairs, I really felt like, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it just felt like however this was devised, didn't come from a pair skater. Back in, you know, I have perspective. I've seen a lot. Back in the 80s, the top coaches, the coaches of the top pairs, I can't remember what year this was. I think it was before 84, were thrown into a room. And together we banged out what should be in a free program. The coaches. And, you know, there were, I don't know, 5 of us, 6 of us. And we decided that, okay, 2 Desperados takes up too much music. Let's just do one, whatever one you want. You know, I mean, of course the rules have to have, you know, needed to progress, and everybody's 30, 40 years better now. I'm not saying it was better then. I'm just saying that we had a voice,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
everybody was happy. And then we just went off and I can't remember what exactly it was, and the programs were longer, but I do remember that one thing where we decided you could still do 2 death spirals if you chose to, but you only needed to do one. So then people also had more flexibility to do more
Yeah.
interesting things. So anyway, I've
Yeah.
seen a few
No,
decades of pair skating,
exactly.
so I have perspective, if nothing else.
I am hoping that there will be some creativity and some interesting things that come out of the choreo elements. It still seems a bit
Yeah.
messy what the rules will be, but it was interesting to hear some of the coaches asking clarifying questions during the last technical committee meeting at Europeans, because from the
Okay.
clarifying questions, there was some creative thinking going on about, well, what if we did an up and down and up again, or what if we did a throw in the air and a whatever. And so
Yeah.
people are going all trying to push the boundaries of what would be possible for it. But I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that's what, like, would I rather see a beautiful lift? Like, I feel like the problem is that, will simplicity ever get rewarded within these elements? And I'm not sure that that still will be a thing.
And there's an assumption that simplicity is easy, and it's not. And um, I'm I don't have the solutions, and I don't know, where it's going. I'm not informed. Um, I'm reacting, and I'm, sort of cranky, um, because I feel that we're all being told too much what to do and what you
Mm-hmm.
can't do, and what it has to be, and if there was more freedom in the free program, and I don't know how to judge this, like I haven't thought it this far, there would be more originality, and and the, I mean, I've said this before, the choreo sequence is the whole program. So I hope that pairs aren't told even more what to do, that somehow they're trusted, that the pairs and coaches and choreographers are trusted to come up with really fabulous creative invention.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to judge that, but if you're, I mean, you see what's good. If you've got an educated eye, then you can see what's good. I'm
What
very
do you?
simple.
Yeah, no. I mean, I agree. The programs that I like the best are often the ones that take their time and breathe, and that can be hard to achieve with the rules. It's like you said, it's often
Yeah.
despite the rules.
And you do, you want them to explore and come with um, their creativity. But when you're told exactly how you have to be creative, then everybody looks the same. It's just like in singles. Everyone falls to their knees and does a whoop after a spin now.
And if you get too creative, it's a problem.
Yeah,
Having
yeah,
just
yeah.
been at Europeans where there were a couple. This happened for a few different people, but
Mm-hmm.
I heard the most about it from Denis Vasilyev's. Had a level 1 step sequence that had been level 4 all
Dennis,
year,
Dennis.
and it's because he had a spread eagle in the middle of it, and they said that was an interruption instead of trying to do something that made it be more musical or more creative or more,
Well,
so
that's
it
the
was,
thing.
it's so, yeah.
I I feel that once a skater has reached that level, um, they should be allowed the freedom, and it feels now like it's punitive instead of supportive. And I know everybody means well. I know the Irish. I know everybody means well. The skaters' freedom and the respect of their journey, um, and the respect of individuality, so that yeah, you can do a spread eagle in the middle of a piece of footwork if the music calls for it. That's okay, because we all know at that level everybody can do the footwork, like, and maybe be more restrictive in the short program and in the free program. Anyway, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure, I mean, everybody's saying the same thing, I think, or a lot of people are saying the same thing. And so hopefully they get there.
Yeah.
Um, and it just feels better and feels more rewarded for those kinds of, that kind of effort.
Mhm. What do you think about so two of the controversial pair things this year? I would say one was Deanna's backflip. So I'm
Yeah.
curious what you think about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when I first heard of it, I rolled my eyes. And then I thought, yeah, but it's in Laurie Nichols' hands. So it's going to be smart. And all the power to Deanna for wanting to do this, which is, a really little benefit, right? It was just something she wanted to do. And so it's like, okay. And then I saw it and I was in. And it's getting better each time, and I love where it's placed in the program. I think it works. I don't want to see all the pairs doing it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It works for this. I admire Deanna and Max for figuring it out. I love how Laurie maintained her integrity
Mm-hmm.
choreographically, that where it sits. And so, yeah, I'm I'm on board.
Yeah, it's definitely grown on me. The first time I saw it, I was a little, it was very much stop and now we do this, but every time they do it, it gets more fluid
Exactly.
and yeah.
And we all have to remember too that what we see at the beginning of the season needs to be allowed to develop. And usually the coaches and the choreographers have that vision. They know where this is going, particularly in the dance, where, it might start out a little rough, or it might not, have clarity, but
Mm-hmm.
they know where they want to take this. So, you know, we
Mm-hmm.
should all let that happen. So, I did, when I first saw it, I trusted that
Mm-hmm.
Lori wouldn't put it in the program.
Mm-hmm.
She would, if she didn't believe that it was worthy, and that it was, was not a creative statement as much as uh, you see, that's to me is the difference between the backflip and the headstand.
Mm.
I feel the headstand is stuntish because it doesn't, there's really no follow through with that, where
Mm.
the backflip builds to that moment
Mm-hmm.
and works with the music. Just,
No, I really enjoy both of Deanna's programs this
mm-hmm.
season. I was probably, along with the majority that was disappointed in somewhat of last year's programs, and it feels like this is. I mean, not disappointed that they try something different. Like I like that people,
Yeah,
try out
yeah,
different directions, but it feels like this is a much better fit for what makes them a special team.
yeah. Certainly the short program works. The free worked at Skate Canada, and I could see the vision at Skate Canada, but since they've had trouble, so
It seems like the
yes,
pacing is very challenging using that music that has a lot of lots of different tempos and lots of different things happening in
mm-hmm.
it. And I as same, I kind of feel like I can see the vision of like how
Yes,
this is supposed to work and it
mm-hmm.
hasn't quite landed there.
Yeah, and I think Laurie added a layer to their understanding as performers and as a pair, to bring out his his caring and his
Mm-hmm.
strengths, so that it balanced and brought out and brings out Deanna's vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the goal. And of course they progressed as skaters, and they and as people, we all grow up, so
Hmm.
we're all capable of doing more year after
Yeah.
year. Um, so I appreciate those efforts because there's a real program there. Not to say that they didn't have real programs before. I'm just saying, the progression, there's a progression.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can really see that.
Hmm.
Other program that I think I keep changing my mind about every time I see it, and I've heard very conflicted opinions about, is the Germans free skate.
Hmm.
I'm curious what you think about this program that Benoit did. That's their Minerva and Nikita's free skate.
It will work if it's clean. Um, it's it's a tough one when there are mistakes. I mean, you can say that about any program. I mean, I'm a minimalist too, and I like the purity of that. I liked um, the emotion and the fire they were able to bring with Four Seasons and what has carried through in the short program.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss that in the free, but I appreciate what they're trying to do, what they're going for. And I hope that that happens at the Olympics so that we really do get to see what the intention is. I mean, the other thing as a choreographer, I always, get cranky when a program that I've created is criticized based on programs that, performances that weren't so great,
Right.
right? Because you can't really judge a program until it reaches, the vision. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I know that it sort of makes a lot of people nervous that it might not be the vehicle, but let's see. Let's
Yeah.
let's wait and see, because it actually at the beginning of the season when they were freer,
Mm.
to me it worked better, and then as the tensions started happening, but again, I don't want to make comment on weaker performances than were intended, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not fair to the program, it's just not fair to the work.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a tough one. Like we were saying that it's not having seen, things at their best. I did feel like Riku and Ryuichi, even when they've had mistakes, they've had a few good, solid performances, and
Mm-hmm.
that they're um, that the maybe just because Gladiator is Gladiator, and I kind of
Yeah.
can, you can kind of see where it's going to go, and it's going to
Yeah.
end in this
The
amazing
music
position over
helps.
the head, and like it
Yeah. It's
it
very
it
Olympic.
carries them. They can be they can
Yeah.
be a little imperfect here and there, and they still
Yes,
kind of present the impression, and there isn't as much wiggle room in some of the other teams'
I
programs. Maybe.
agree. Yeah. Yeah. Riku and Ryuchu have a very Olympic moment program. If,
Yeah.
the music, the choreography, the vehicle is just for both. And and
Mm-hmm.
and the free program, I think, especially, as you said, the ending position is, it's
Yeah.
holding up the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the
No, it's great.
But it's nice to have those moments sometimes that you really can kind of, let yourself get swept away
Oh
in,
yeah.
and yeah. So
Yeah. No,
I wouldn't want
it's
every team to be trying to be the same, but it's something that I like
right,
with them.
because you're trying then to just hit the same note over the head, and the note's not going to work more than a couple times, right? You need that variation, and wherever the skating order sits, maybe we'll be ready for the Germans, the Hassenboliden, and for that, maybe. But the Germans back to back with the Georgians at Europeans, they were very similar. And so, but what can you do? You can't, you can't worry about other competitors when you're choosing well, I mean, you do have to be strategic, but you still have to have the visors on when you're choosing music for your skaters. but I, of course, you're strategic as well.
Yeah, yeah, and overall, I mean, this is one of, I always would love to have a, as clean performances and really just try to see everyone at their best. But
Yeah,
this is the discipline that I am the most, I would already be excited about pairs. I love pairs, but I think
yeah.
that this is the discipline that I am truly the most excited about because we don't
We
really
don't
know. There's
know.
not a clear front runner. There's
No,
6 or 7 teams I wouldn't be surprised to have on the podium, and that's a very exciting
exactly.
place to be.
That's exciting, and let's hope that they're able to skate as clean or clean, as clean as possible, so that the best really does win, and it's not by default. Let's hope, but that to me is also what makes figure skating a sport is doing it in the moment. It doesn't matter if you're the best pair the week before. You've got to do it in the moment, in any discipline. And that to me is it also deserves to be rewarded, not, rewarded on the body of work or, reputation. And I, hopefully the second mark responds to the moment. And the
Yeah,
GOEs, yeah,
yeah, that's,
really looks at the moment and not what they did in practice. It's hard.
yeah, I
It's
hope
hard for
so.
everybody. It's hard for the judges too.
Yeah, that's the thing that's been hard to me watching Swain Han in particular this season. They're not the only team that that sometimes gets a little held up, for reputation and previous achievements. But
Yeah,
it's tough to see when they are so wonderful, and some of that was still coming through, but a lot of it
yeah.
wasn't earlier in the season, and
No, not earlier in the season. I
it's
saw the
tough.
programs though at Four Continents, particularly the free program. I thought this is a really beautiful program, and um, you know, at, in another at another level. Um, and so I did appreciate that. I just,
Hmm.
you want the best for them, and I think they clearly don't put themselves on the pedestal.
Hmm. You're okay.
I'm falling apart. They don't, sorry, they don't put themselves on the pedestal that we've put them on. They did one of the greatest performances in pair skating history 4 years ago. And
Hmm.
so, but you have to admire that they're just treating this as, it's just a journey, not just a journey, and
Hmm.
not anything more. Just let's see what we can do. And they're so sweet, and they've been together for so long. I mean, they started competing in 2012, right? Or they're internationally,
Yeah,
4 continents, and they bicker in a loving way, like an old married couple. I adore them. And so, I mean, we want for so many of the pairs for different reasons, right? We
yeah.
want, the Italians because it's Milano. We want Canadians because it's Deanna and her
Hmm.
wild and crazy dream. And, Riku and Ryuichi, for all they've been through with their injuries and coming in as two-time world champions. And then, um, Wenjing and Song just for
Yeah,
their legacy. And I could go on. I mean, there's so many pairs that you just want for. And I think it's
yeah.
great that skating audience is really familiar with the stories and have their favorites and are rooting for many, if not all of them, because pair skating is just so hard, especially
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
It is, and that's where, so many of the teams that, I'm going to ask you in a moment for your podium predictions, but before I go there, I just was going to say that one of the real privileges that I feel like having been covering Paris pretty intensively in this quad specifically was getting to see the progression of so many of these teams and newer teams and teams like,
Mm-hmm.
what it took for some of them to get to the Olympics at all. And
Yeah.
so having seen, all of those stories, I was thinking about this at Europeans. A lot of the teams have had, you know, rough seasons,
Yeah.
injuries,
Injuries.
challenges.
Yeah.
So, for a team, I was thinking about this with the Polish team that's had a rough
Mm-hmm.
season, the Dutch team that's been
Yeah.
struggling and struggling just to get to the Olympics, and they finally have that weight off their shoulders. And Annika and
Yeah.
Robert, where he had such a bad injury earlier this year, his
Mm-hmm.
hand, and the fact that they were able to skate as well as they did and come in fourth at Europeans. There was so much like
Yeah.
from those teams. Like at the top, there's a lot of anxiety, but from those teams, there was almost this sense of relief at Europeans of like,
Mm-hmm.
we are going to be able to pull this together. Like maybe
Yeah.
the Olympics is going to be okay. Like we do know how to skate, we do know how to perform, we can do this. And so it was this
Yeah.
sort of feeling of relief, and I was kind of carrying that
Yeah.
emotion with
And
them.
you do feel that with all of them, they've all had their chances. I mean, we haven't even talked about the Americans and
But
you
yeah.
know what Danny has been through,
Hmm.
right? I mean, he skated with a broken foot last year, just so that they could have two places. He didn't want to, let America down, and so they're here, and he's gone through. He's tried for 4 Olympics. Like those stories. I mean, I just got shivers.
Hmm.
Um, it's like, well, those stories, and somehow in pair skating, it just seemed because of the physical impact, um, they just seem even more powerful when you think about what they've all been through, like everything you just said.
Yeah. Yeah, one team that we didn't mention, I mean, it's probably good to talk about everybody, but one team we didn't mention was the Hungarians. And it was so lovely
Mm-hmm.
seeing again, seeing at Europeans, they have a sort of getting to reunite with a bunch of the
Yes.
other teams that train with Dmitry Savin, and seeing the um, just, support that the different teams have for each other. I thought of
Yes.
them because they were so happy that the Dutch team were going to get to go to the Olympics with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just even across, even the ones who aren't training mates or anything like that, there's a real sense of, solidarity, and like we're all in this
Right.
very hard thing together,
Yeah. There's a
that I
mutual
could really feel with the
respect.
pairs. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's always been. I think it's more obvious now because of social media and
Hmm.
maybe because there's more competitions. But I think there's always been sort of an understanding amongst pairs of that, they're in the trenches together, and how difficult this is, and
Hmm.
um, yeah, but especially I think this season is, as you said, especially strong in that respect. Like the women's event
Yeah.
too, the camaraderie and
Yeah.
the mutual respect is um, so great for sports,
Yeah.
so great for skating, and God, I'm I'm so I'm so taken by what they all go through physically and emotionally, and what the life is like now for skaters and for pair skaters.
Hmm. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's true. I think the more that I understand really what's involved in the training and the
Mm-hmm.
just the difficulty of, just getting through, to have the conditions you need to be able to train
Yeah.
is can be so
Yeah.
challenging for some teams. Just some of
Yeah.
these found things that we might, assume that, they could take for granted at this level, and they can't. And so
Right.
it's just so many of the teams have had
Yeah.
just
And
all the journeys to get there.
exactly. And even the British pair, they don't have a ton of ice time.
Hmm.
They've, worked days with their choreographers, not
Hmm.
any longer. And, you know, they're another team that, they're going to the Olympics
And have grown so much. I mean, and
and
that's
have
the
grown
thing
so
that's been
much.
lovely to see how
Yeah.
many teams have, have really gotten stronger, and the teams at the top, of course, but, all the way
Hmm.
along, that I think this is a much stronger field than than,
Yes.
right after the last Olympics, it seemed like, oh, wow, this field is
Yeah.
kind of emptying out, and people have really risen to the
They've
occasion.
risen, and there's a very strong middle pack. I mean, you can't even really call it, it's it's very strong top pack, very strong next tier pack. And
Mm-hmm.
some of them could flip up depending on the night, you know? So it's going to make for a really exciting competition. Really is. And I just hope everybody stays healthy and skates their best and has their Olympic moment.
Yeah, I mean, especially hoping that Sarah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, and there's so many people with injuries right now. I don't mean to pick out Sarah in
Yeah.
particular, but having had to
Yeah.
pull out of Europeans and just the amount of strain that they must be under to try to get themselves ready for
Yeah. But
the
I
event. I'm
hope,
just, yeah.
yeah, I hope that that was maybe a blessing as well. After four continent, not four continents, Grand Prix final, carry that. Just carry that. At least that's what I'd be saying if I was the coach.
Yeah,
Jeez,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I hope that's great.
Just I
Yes.
just keep popping out here.
Well, no, I do the same thing.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
I'm
just
gonna
one
make you
year
answer
hours.
the hard question. Out of all of these teams that could be there, what's your, educated gut feeling about the podium?
I really can't. I know you want to make me. Um, I think Riku and Ryuichi, injury aside, we can't say beyond that. We really
As
can't. I
soon as I
really
start
can't.
trying to
I
say
mean,
that, then I'm
you
like, but how
say
can I
it.
leave out?
Exactly. You say it. I mean,
No, I
it's
know.
the Olympics, and crazy things happen at the Olympics. They always do. And so when you think you can predict something, I don't know, we're always wrong. It's just there isn't anything obvious, and I don't discount any of. Everybody wants it and are going for it in their way, and so I do think it's pretty wide open for the moment.
Yeah. I think I'm
Yeah.
going to go with my gut feeling that I'm going to say that it's going to be Japanese, it's going to be Germans, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be either Deanna or the Georgians as my, but
Oh,
I'm gonna go Deanna.
but we're
I
in
think Deanna's
Milano.
gonna get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
and I really want it for the Italians. I'm worried about the injury, but maybe they will,
Okay.
and for the team having had the team event and then needing to skate the team event, and then so
Yeah.
I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
I have no inside knowledge or
Yeah.
anything about that, but otherwise, I would
Yeah.
say that the home crowd would push the Italians to that.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah. And it's
yeah,
controlling those emotions, right? But one would never discount Deanna. We can't.
and that's
Uh,
kind of where I
and
was
that's,
feeling is
yeah.
that like, and where Minerva and Nikita, I can imagine them winning, and I can imagine them making a couple of big mistakes and sinking. I mean, that's true for everybody, but like
Yeah.
I do have that feeling that like it's either going to all come together or not for them and
Yeah.
that yeah.
Well, it's interesting that, you know, Deanna and Max had a difficult nationals. Almost everyone had a difficult Europeans, so it kind of wipes the slate clean. And so everybody can just throw those out and find their center again. Yeah, can't predict.
I know.
you're
Okay.
you're you're braver than I am.
I mean,
Yeah,
I also am very when we do our fantasy skating game, I'm very bad at it. So, no one should bet based on my predictions. But I am willing
yeah,
to go with a gut feeling on
yeah,
it sometimes. I think but it's so hard, like you said, because there are so many teams that I would feel,
yeah,
thrilled if they were to get there, and so many teams I'd feel very sad if they, if they weren't able to be on the podium. And I think, um, you know, selfishly, my hope is that we see a lot of these teams continue post this Olympics. And there are a few that we know are probably retiring,
Mm.
but I think a lot of them might. And so I really would love to see
Well,
beyond
there's
this.
some young ones too that are going to take over in a heartbeat, right? I mean, the second Japanese and then the second Chinese and um, young pairs from all over, and so that's very exciting. And uh,
It is.
I mean, look what Riku and Ryuichi did for pair skating in Japan. What a legacy!
It's amazing. It's
Hmm.
really a wonderful thing, and to see where they are in the team event right now because of the work that they have put in to be strong, and
Yes,
I mean that they've done as a team and that everyone around them has done to grow the discipline is really impressive.
yeah, that's really terrific. That's something very positive that the team event has done for countries is to pay attention, to pairs and dance and get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
and
talking to the Polish team, a lot of to the Polish team leader and like some different
mhm,
athletes, and like they're like, we would never like we're in the team event, like, but it's partly because they were saying that it's
yeah,
partly because the Polish Federation has really made a point of trying to cultivate all of the
yeah,
disciplines and to be very
which is
welcoming to
great.
athletes that wanted to train for Poland, and like to really be like, we want to be strong,
Yeah,
so it's
it's
nice to see.
it's great for skating. It really is. It is. And we haven't talked about the team event. The team event's going
Mm-hmm.
to impact the actual event. This
Mm-hmm.
conversation could be completely different after the team event, right?
Yes, exactly,
So
exactly. They have a little bit of time, which I'm glad that the pairs
yeah,
don't have to be back,
yes, back to
right back
back,
to back.
like
Often
in
the
the
pairs have to be
past.
the first event, and that
Always,
always seems, yeah.
always, yeah, yeah,
So at least they've got almost a week in between there and
yeah.
stuff. So it'll
But
be
still,
helpful. But
it
yeah,
messes with your head one way or another. And then
yeah,
to plan for the team event with the big one sort of lurking, it's not easy.
yeah. I wonder if
Yeah.
that will then give any advantage to, say, the Germans who won't have to do the team
Yes,
event,
I
or to
think it
others
does.
that will be there. Yeah.
I think it does because I think, with some of them, I'm not sure they have too long programs in them, you know, given their health and um, so
And
strategy,
so few
all
of them
the,
would have the option to swap out or
yeah,
take that spot. So it
yeah,
really does put extra pressure on them. Yeah.
yeah. So,
All
and
right.
you're going
Well,
to witness
I'm
it
very excited.
firsthand for the first time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I'm very excited for it, and
uh,
that's I am.
that's so
We were
great.
talking about what I was going to see in person or not. I really do want to try to do what I've done at some competitions, which is to try to do mix zone for the short program and then just watch the free skates in
Yeah,
the
that's great.
arena, because and try to split the difference a little bit
Yeah,
that way. But this
yeah.
is there are a few of these programs I'm like, I want to see what this feels like in the Olympic moment.
You really do. It's like the difference between, holding up your iPhone at an event and, actually watching it for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every Olympics that rolls around, uh, I do I do think back to, all the different ones and what they were like and all those performances, and many of them are just seared into my mind. And um, so on a personal note, February 6th is uh, the short program for the team event, and it's the anniversary of a 72 short program. So it's like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, I've been
Oh
around a while.
wow.
Can you imagine? Like a different person, but I have had the privilege of watching the decades
Hmm.
roll by, participate, you know, in some, and either coaching or choreographing or something, and commentating. And so it's just been such a privilege.
Can I put you on the spot to ask you if people want to get in the mood for watching Olympic pairs, what are a few programs that people should go look up from previous
Okay.
skaters?
Oh, from the past.
From the past, yeah,
Oh,
just say
easy.
from from other years, just because
Okay.
I was thinking about that. I'm like I kind of want to to get
Okay.
myself psyched up to think about this in the history of it as well.
Okay. Well, I mean, the obvious ones, Sui Han from 2022, Aliona and Bruno from 2018 is just one of the most extraordinary moments in sport, in pair skating, in human story, after their short program. I mean, this to me, you love pair skating. Part of pair skating, a very large part of pair skating is the interpersonal relationship. And they, you know, he made the mistake, I think, on the short program when they're in fourth. I can't remember, but
Yeah, they were out
it
of
was
the
not
yeah.
pretty. And I think there was a day between. And can you imagine where they had to go individually and as a pair,
Yeah.
emotionally, before skating that free program? And that free program was one of the absolute greatest of all time. So that one's a keeper. Certainly, Shen and Zhao's body of work, their Olympic program was not their best, their Olympic performance in 2010, but their body of work and their emotions and the legacy they've created for Chinese pair skating. Starting with Yao Bin back in the 80s. Well, you kind of have to watch 2002 with Jamie and David and Anton and Elena Sikorlitsi,
Mm-hmm.
Berezhnaya Sikorlitsi, who were a glorious pair. They
Mm-hmm.
gotta watch them. Jamie and David, we all know and love, and skating the performance of their life. That's to me this back to the sports moment.
Mm-hmm.
They in warm-ups they collided in warm-up for the pre-program. And Jamie went flying and was winded. I mean, I think a lot of people know the story. And then skated the way they skated. Anton and Elena were just so glorious all the time and absolutely worth watching. They were often not clean. And that was, you know, so, and then further back than that, um, oh well, Katya and Sergey. I mean, I think pair aficionados should just watch everything Katya and Sergey have ever done as
Mm-hmm.
professionals, as competitors. Uh, their 94 was he was so mad at himself after 94 for making little mistakes. He was very intolerant of his own mistakes, um, and never towards her, just his own. And they were so, so beautiful, such a beautiful pair. And to be able to do that after the baby and, Dasha and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. And then 88, when they were just, I mean, she was just a button. They were just so gorgeous and so
Mm-hmm.
young. And um, Marina's work, Marina Zueva's work with them is just
Mm-hmm.
perfection. I mean, talk about a union between coach choreographer and pair team. Um, and personally, watch Barbie and Paul's 84, Martini and Underhill's 84 Worlds.
Okay.
Damn. Because we had a disastrous Olympics where, they were in line for podium placement. Long story, side by side sit spins in the short program. Her boots had been bothering her, but we never looked at the boots. And she slipped off her edge and knocked him over like a bowling ball. And Olympics went up in flames. Just we were standing there. Louis Stong and I were standing there, just that's it. Olympics is gone. So
Mm-hmm.
they ended up seventh, and then we had a month to put them back together again. Um, and Lewis was just about to pick up the phone and pull out of Olympics. It was that bad. And
Mm-hmm.
Brian Orser said to Barb, why don't you go back to your old boots? And a week later, watch that performance, 84,
Mm-hmm.
Ottawa. Going further back, 80, well, Rodnina. I mean, Rodnina's, with all her partners. Watch
Mm-hmm.
Rodnina. I mean, she's who I competed against with Ulanov and then Zaitsev. And they were just, she was passionate, but she was a machine. So one program, one Worlds, their music cut out. And they didn't, the referee is blowing his whistle. Zook, the coach, is ordering them to continue on. They just continued their whole program and stopped to the exact time as though the music had played and won.
Wow.
Um, and then the
Amazing.
Protopopovs, I mean, I was really little, but I remember watching them on TV, and they were, so my sensibility is sort of Proto's concept of the union of two people on the ice with Rodnina and Zaitsev's, precision, which to me lands with Sergei and Katya, and then, Aliona and Bruno and Wenjing and Song, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
my life.
I love that. Thank you for giving that little journey, because it also just it makes me again feel so excited about what could come
Yeah, and there's
next
there's
and the
pairs in
moments
there
ahead.
I left out. There are more,
Of
but
course.
enough.
But no, it's good. That will give us a little playlist to be excited about.
Yeah, yeah. There's yeah. Now my wheels are turning. There's some great pairs. Miss Katrina Dmitriev, Elena and Anton, Betsky Petrov. I mean, a lot of them worked on Betsky Petrov, and we got to work with them in Stars on Ice.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about a solid. I really like solid male, you know, reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Martini, Denis Petrov, Sergei Grinkov, David Paltier. Those are the guys that I would make lift me.
Yeah. That's
So,
great.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra. This has been such a fun conversation. I'm hope that everybody in Canada listens to your commentary. I'm sure that they will be, and yeah,
Yeah,
we'll,
it's a privilege. It's such a privilege to be there and sitting beside Kurt. So yeah,
that'll be fun.
and Brenda Irving. Yeah. So thank you. So good to see you. Have an amazing time, and
Thank you.
yeah, take it all in. You will. It'll blow you away.